Just do something to tell you who I am, you know?
Hey gang, Matt Schifferly here for the RedDeltaProject.com. When you're into bodyweight training, suspension trainers are kind of a main staple as far as your exercise equipment goes. And I've used about every single one out there on the market, and I've been building my own for God knows how long. Largely because I'm not really happy with a lot of stuff out there on the market these days. It's big, it's cumbersome, it's expensive. I've got a couple of recommendations for some of the best that I recommend over at Red Delta Project, but largely I've been building my own because I think we can do a heck of a lot better. Recently I've come up with a much simpler, cheaper, and in many ways easier to use system that I want to share with you here today. However, before I get into that, I've got to bring out a little bit of a warning here. This system that I'm using is not tested on anything, okay? I haven't tested it with weights or how safety protocols and everything that commercial methods use. So that's one of the biggest advantages you get when you buy a trainer from a big company is you know it's 100% safe under normal conditions. This, we're on our own. So if you decide to take this information, do so at your own risk. I have all the confidence in the world in this design, but I never know if maybe you get a little bit of something different, you wrap it around a tree limb that's not stable. I just don't know. So please do use an air of caution with this system. So okay, now, what is it and why is it special? The suspension trainer is really just two parts. We have a robust, durable climbing rope, and we have a handle, just a simple barrel tube handle. That's it. That's all that you really need for your trainer. The handle is going to be the hardest part. This is something that's often kind of hard to find. What I've done is I've simply taken one of those single handles that you usually find on weight machines and cut out all the nonsense nylon that eats into your wrists and stuff and just use the single handle part. That's what I often recommend doing if you really want to do this upright, because these things just last forever. You can find them online, major fitness equipment stores, things like that. A lot of people go into the idea of using PVC. I've played with PVC for many years. To me, it's not a very good material, largely because when you cut it, it leaves rough edges, and those rough edges wear into rope and nylon and stuff like crazy, and it does pose a bit of a safety risk. I know a lot of people have suggested things like smoothing it down. I've tried a number of ways to try and get it really smooth, sandpaper, various files, motor tools, things like that. And that makes it smoother, but it doesn't make it smooth enough, at least as for my needs. Like, I want it to be like butter. There should be almost no friction whatsoever when you rotate that handle. So sometimes PVC, it's okay. Does have that safety risk to it, but if you can do a handle and invest a little bit more towards it, it will be well worth it, I assure you. The rope that you're going to use this is actually climbing rope. This isn't something you just get at the hardware store or anything like that. I get it at local climbing stores here in Colorado. We got REI all over the place. 7mm rope. I've known some people use 5mm. That can work very well. Always, always, always make sure that you ask the salesperson how much load this stuff can withstand. I don't ever use anything that's under 1,000 pounds. So even though like, oh yeah, it'll hold up to 800 pounds, still not enough in my book, 1,000 pounds. And it's not just because of braking strength, but also stretching strength too. One of my pet peeves with a lot of trainers out there is that they use a material that stretches a little bit more under load, and it's just, you want it to be as tight as humanly possible. Usually you can get this stuff in about 30-foot lengths pre-packaged. I recommend 50 because you're gonna have to cut it in half and loop it around, and sometimes when I'm using 30-foot lengths with an overhead like pull-up bar or something, it's just not long enough to reach all the way down to the floor. And the mark of a good suspension trainer is something where the handle can go all the way to the floor and all the way up to where you can reach it with your hands, and then of course all the way close and all the way wide. So if you get 50-foot lengths, that will be just fine. Assembling your suspension trainer is as simple as tying a loop knot into one end of each rope. Fold the rope over about 6 to 7 inches and then fold and tie through the end of the knot so that you have this style of a knot. I don't really know what it's called. A loop on one end, and you can tape up the spare rope on the other end. Then what you do is you take that loop and sling it over anything overhead that you have a nice anchor point with, or you can simply do kind of a bit of a hitch knot where you pull through the rope on itself, and I prefer that. It's a little bit more stable, especially on like a bar or something like you have in this example. Gives you a little bit more stability. From there, it's as simple as running the loose end through the handle that you have, whether it's PVC or something a little bit more durable like what I have here, and just simply run it through, let the handle drop down to the floor. Then you take the loop end and pass the loose end through for a pressing knot. So you pass it through the loop, then you pass it down and back over through the loop and underneath itself. So you basically have created a top loop that is passing through and then a bottom loop. So the end goes through it once, then through it over and then under. Then you pull it tight and you have a pressing knot. To loosen it, all you simply do is just pull the knot apart, pull on the side that the line that has the handle attached to it to shorten the suspension trainer, or pull on the end of the knot that has the loose end to lengthen it. And always make sure that you pull down onto that line to make it nice and tight. Always, always, always make sure you test this out. Every time you adjust it, place all of your weight onto the handle to make sure that it's weight bearing. It's not going to slip on you or anything like that. I've also marked the line. With these marks, they're 6 inches apart, but I actually recommend a foot apart. That way, when you adjust one end, you can adjust the other trainer to the same length. So let me know if you have thoughts, questions down below. Till then, this is Matt Schiffeler reminding you to be fit, live free.